and innovative businesses in Nigeria. We're going to start with an interactive session on ideation and innovating in critical times, anchored by Bruno Warren. Bruno is the head of research, management, and tech transfer at Paracelsus Private Medical University in Austria. And Bruno will be anchoring this session with Abayomi Bayere, the assistant professor of digitalization at Copenhagen Business School. Bruno, are you here? Okay. Bruno? Abayomi? Okay, so I guess they're still trying to join us. But here's a quick recap from yesterday while we wait for Bruno and Abayomi. So we started a session, of course, from Zoho, and it was taken by Andrew Byrne. Andrew is the Business Development Manager Africa for Zoho Corporation. And Zoho is an organization, an international organization that helps to manage your customer experience. Zoho has an all-encompassing enterprise software solution that does a lot about CRM, customer relationship management. And Andrew did justice to taking us on how to build your customer journey, how to retain your customers' loyalty, and how to innovate with digital tools to ensure that your businesses run as smooth as possible. Bruno is here. Hi, Bruno. Can you hear me?
Hi there.
Thanks for joining us.
Certainly.
So we're waiting for Abayomi.
Yeah, he should be on in a second as well, I'm sure.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you very much. And next, yesterday, we also had presentation by Fatoumata Koka, the founder and group president of Wire Group Holdings. And she talked about the opportunities that MSMEs can harness in Africa and the trajectory of the continent's market. It was a very, very enlightening session. We also had ISPIM, introduction from ISPIM by Ian Bitran, and he talked about how you can actually harness the association. You know, it's a group of innovators across the world. It was a very, very interesting session indeed. Abayomi, are you here yet? Okay, I guess it's trying to join us. And then we had a very, very beautiful presentation by Professor Peter Apuntin. He talked about application of new technologies in agriculture and aquaculture. It was a very, very enlightening section. We had a lot of questions and we've compiled them. We're going to be sending it to the speakers immediately after the summit. And finally, we had a presentation from Ifemalo, the CEO of Clean Tech Hub Nigeria. And she talked about innovative solution and opportunities in renewable energy. We know there's been a lot of conversations in recent times about climate change, environmental pollution, and so on and so forth. So we are having many initiatives pushing for clean energy, renewable energy, safer environment, and so on. She did justice to that, making us understand how places and the organizations in Nigeria have actually bring about initiatives for renewable energy and clean energy. It was a very, very interactive one. So today we'll be kicking off with Bruno and Abayomi. They'll be taking an interactive session on ideation and innovating in critical times. Bruno is here already. We're waiting for Abayomi to join us.
Yeah, let me just get the.
Well, I guess we'll just start with Bruno. Bruno, are you ready?
Yeah, give me just a second to get. Sorry.
No, I was just replying that I'm also here.
Oh, you're here.
Yes,
okay, that's
AB is
awesome.
here. Yeah, I was just trying to get the screen share, but AB, are you sharing your screen later on with the Mentee? Then we
Bruno,
do it from yesterday.
you have the access to share your screen. You can share
Yeah,
your screen.
thank you. So, welcome everybody. May I ask you to all mute your microphones if you're not on and speaking, so we have no background noise and the bandwidth is also saved as well. Thank you for that. Thanks very much for having us. This is round 2. So for those who didn't have an opportunity to join in yesterday, together with AB from Copenhagen Business School, we and myself from PMU and ISPIM, we gave a small glimpse on, according to the title, what's happening in critical times and how do you innovate and how do you set up the ecosystems. And I think it was a nice flow of the presentations in the morning, together with features on customer relations and features on smaller companies, features on who to work with, university collaborations, the whole stakeholder ecosystem. And we stepped in with a few questions: who you are from, and funnily enough, we had no one from government. We had about 1/3, I think, maybe when I'm right, from
right.
international corporations or companies, and then individual people, customers that itself, and university participants. So it's quite funny that there was no one from government there, or they just did not come forward to identify themselves as government. So the idea from us was to look at that in a sense of how can we learn in critical times as from this pandemic, and what can we do in future settings. So saying that a different kind of pandemic or a different kind of situation comes up, what can we learn from the current one, and how can we involve, to build up an ecosystem that's actually sustainable in a ways. So that was the kind of early, quick and dirty start yesterday, and we want to continue from here. And I'll hand over to AB also to share the screen, and then we'll take it from here in a kind of an interactive discussion where we will use the questions that we put forward yesterday.
All right, thank you, Bruno. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I'd like those of us around to take part in the poll. So let's get the screen up. See the screen? You can? Yes, okay, good. All right. So what we would like you to do would be to go to menti.com and use the code that is having to deal with the pandemic, where a lot of people are out of jobs. You have people that cannot collaborate with others. You're in situations where the means of income for some people are just lost. This is a scenario that we're in right now, and there's a tendency that we might actually have to face challenging times like this as we go on. So what we want to do today is look at, together, co-create ideas and solutions on how to go about dealing with such situations. So what I'd like you to do is go to the menti.com and use this code. I'll also try and pull up a link. The Menti.
I'm just going to put it in the chat as yesterday, maybe.
Actually, the link you have is not the voting link. So let me pull up the link for the voting. It's still a surprise that we don't have anyone from the government. Kenneth, is that by
No, it wasn't
Oh,
by
thank you.
design.
We have one person coming in good. All right, so we're just going to take a few minutes here so that we get the representatives in the room. Those of you that have already to move on. Okay, Bruno, you're going to get a link that the link for voting, so you can send that to the chat.
Yes.
So I just sent that to you now. So if you're unable to go to Menti and use the code, just click on the link that Bruno is going to put in the chat, and it takes you directly to a place to respond.
Did you send it into the chat box directly or to me on WhatsApp?
I actually sent to you on your WhatsApp because for some reason I cannot see the chat box on my Zoom.
If you put the where you have all the people, you can click on the lower link, and then the chat shows up. Because it doesn't come in my WhatsApp.
It does not?
No.
I understand why. It should now.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. All right, so we've got 20 responses now. I think that's a comfortable point to proceed. So if you're just joining us, the code will always be up for you, and you can join the conversation by going to menti.com and using the code listed here. Oh, there comes the chat. And the chat is right here for you. If you need the link, here's the link. You can use the link to join. All right, let's move on. So based on the distribution of what we see here in this room, we seem to have a lot more university and people obviously. So as an individual, as you respond to the other question, I would just like to kindly ask you to have the G, the I, the P, or the U to indicate what stakeholder you represent as you respond to the other questions in the poll. All right, perfect. Okay, so we have more individuals in the room, which is understandable, and we have fewer people from the government, which is also fine. But now what we're going to do next would be to look at the role of each of the stakeholders from how you see it. And I'm going to pause this and we can discuss. So just to check, can the respondents actually speak, or can they only type?
They can type. They can
Yeah.
type. Yes.
They can type. Okay. So speaking is not one of the mediums you want to use, right?
No, to avoid interruptions.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have the chat box to make comments for us to put them forward. As you can see, what the various stakeholders have put forward, to foster research and research ecosystem from the university point of view, or from the government point of view. You have suggestions to conduct studies on socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 on individuals and organizations. I think that's an important point to also regain the confidence into governmental structures, as everything came a bit of, on a shorthand solution type base for the past half year. And it was more or less a trial and error. and not so much based on, what do we know and how can we go forward. So to have those kind of government-led studies, I think it will help in the future also for people to see that, not everyone has all the answers, and we just need to go and go forward on it, and also to make sure that we rely on scientific data and information.
Right. So if I just pick up on that, I would like to ask the those in the room, since we just have only one response from the government, I'd like you to go to the chat and let's together write out what we think could be the role of the government as a stakeholder in this kind of a scenario. So Bruno, if you could monitor the chat.
Yeah, I will. I'm on it. I think it's very much, in my opinion, when you look at from the different cultures that we have presented here also over the last 2 days, the different countries joining in, different backgrounds. I think, in my opinion, to reestablish the trust in what has been happening and what can be done is quite important.
Right.
We have the chat information. There's, Kenneth said, there's the role of the government for policy development, infrastructure development. And that goes for, a situation of critical times, very much has an impact both on the scientific community, but also individual levels. How quickly do you respond with aids and support structures? And how quickly do you respond in how to reshape the economy again? So what are the measures that you're putting forward that are on behalf of the government? Infrastructure development, new economic push initiatives, how to engage in research. I mean, I don't know if you followed the news yesterday, the Australian government, for example, put forward 1 billion Australian dollars for the research communities, and a further $500 million to the research infrastructure network, which was always previously a big struggle on the Australian side to get the research communities going. So they are really taking a big step in that development, and we need to see more of those on a level, not just on individual governments, but also jointly together with different nations and different continents to work in that area.
Right. Okay. So one of the things that strikes me looking at the response we are getting here, we have most folks responding from a universal perspective. But one thing that I think is important will be also the role of the individual. And before we get to that, I think the next thing we're going to look at would be the challenges facing you as a stakeholder.
You can answer number one, and you are two paratical. Or you answer number one and two, and you are one paratical. Very simple. Huh? You are going to, yes, but you have to submit. You have to submit. Yes. Before paratical, you have to submit it.
So I'm not sure if the conversation.
Shafir, that is very hard to understand. Could I ask you to please,
Shafir, could you go on mute, please?
Put this in the chat box. Thank you.
So let's just interact via the chat box as the organizers have requested. All right, challenges. Bruno, do you want to take challenges?
Certainly. So we looked at what are the challenges facing you as a stakeholder. I don't know, I saw the one here which says, the challenge I face is about coping with family, food, healthcare, welfare crisis. This had made me to encroach on business account with a huge deficit. Now I need to explore all avenues of recovery. And this is a very good example on the individual level what the respondents from other stakeholders need to be, especially from the government side, but also from the company side, I believe. Because the way you treat your workforce, and we heard yesterday really nice presentations that preceded our short workshop intro on MNCs. I think it's very important how the smaller enterprises can be fostering their business to go on, and how it makes a difference to have one extra employee or worker in your small company. If there's, I remember the example of being about 40 million individual smaller companies. If they each take on one person to work with, that's a workforce of 40 million plus. So that makes a huge difference in how workers, families, and their dependence upon can continue in an economic crisis. So all those very small examples, I would say, give a glimpse of that everyone involved as a stakeholder in the ecosystem has to pitch in. It's upon each and every individual person, institution, organization, or even a governmental structure to push in the same direction. Because as some might not see it, we're all in it on the same boat, and that there's no differences, there's no ways out to try to take a shortcut. So I think that's a very prominent challenge that will affect millions and millions of people across the globe over the next 1.5 years, I would say.
Right, and if I may emphasize two other points that came out from these challenges, one will be this particular comment that talked about distance learning, having difficulty in accessing labs, homework connection, and social distance. I think this kind of brings the role of technology to the fore as one of the challenges that may be holding a lot of people back in terms of actually achieving the goals that they may have that are being impacted by the crisis situation. And one of the questions we're going to be talking about refers to the role of digital technology. So I'd like to put this particular challenge in mind when we get there. If you're a student, how is distance learning becoming a challenge for you? If you're somebody in the university, how is the access to the lab being challenged? And how can digital technology help in that? And one of the things in the West, most places just locked down, but a lot of work happened at home. But if you don't have internet, if you don't have electricity, how can you actually encourage people to keep working from home when there's no technology to keep the connection intact? So these are some of the challenges to bring to fore. Then the last one will be this one that kind of speaks to the government's role. And I think Bruno already kind of highlighted that in his earlier comments. The fact that there's a lack of trust could actually become a big issue, because there should be a source where you can actually believe, oh, what is being said here is for my own good, it's for the benefit of the society as a whole. But if there's a breakdown of trust, if there's no pipeline for knowledge, these could indeed be challenges. But now the point is not to just focus on the challenges. And that moves us to the next question, which is about the solution. And this is where we're going to spend a lot of time. And this is the part where we're going to open up the conversation to you to chat, and we can have a dialogue since we can't speak via voice. So the chat will be open to you. So Bruno, any other comments on the challenges before I move on to the solutions?
I think it would be good to move to the solutions, and we use the time for that one.
Right. All right. So after pointing out some of these issues, some of these challenges that we should expect in a situation where we are challenged by pandemic or whatever crisis it is, what solutions would you suggest to these challenges? So we're going to pick the comments you have here, but if you have other thoughts, please drop it in the chat. Can you use the chat, please? So the organizers have requested that we use chat just to keep some decorum in the room. So if you've got a comment, please just type it in the chat box.
And also, I mean, AB, in the meantime, we can pick up on some of the solutions that have been suggested here. I mean, you already touched upon the good internet. I think that's a given, and that, as we saw, is not working everywhere, because a lot of times, you know, even here in my surrounding, that the Zoom just stalls, or even university IT departments restrict access to certain areas, and you can't see the panelists, or you can't see the screen, or sometimes you don't even see the PowerPoint shared screen. So it's not just on the individual level; it's also on infrastructure and institutional levels that it's not working, or people are still thinking in the, let me put it very frankly, in the old ways. Oh, we have to limit this. We have to not have access to that, security issues. There's too much, you know, while flying, and that's a big one, I think. Then you've embraced that the embracing technology is very important, and that can help to develop relevant tech solutions. Here we rely again on quick solutions from smaller institutions, smaller companies, individual providers that come forward, and then put that together with in a private-public partnership, those PPPs. Governments are well off to go forward in those quick solution finders, and not go with the traditional ways as it has been. I think that's a proven track record as well. And if you look at when people are trying to go out, or are visiting restaurants, or are sitting somewhere, you have to register, you have to give a QR code, or you have to fill out a simple form, a piece of paper. Whereas paper is not as secure and easy to handle than it is by putting your own mobile phone network forward. You use that, and then you basically give your location and where you have been, so your contact tracing is easier. And I see it in our surroundings. Governments are way lagging behind in going forward, using technologies that are out there. And then there's a announcement by the Chamber of Commerce. They're trying to give a solution that is being put forward maybe by next week. Whereas it's already been in place for 2 weeks already to have that. So lagging in the decision making is something that is really not helping.
Right. So if I'll just looking at the response that we have from you here, I think so. We have perspectives, some recommendations, some solutions. We put that on the government, and rightly so. Some of them we tend to look at technology as an avenue to get a solution. So I'm going to pass a question out there, and here you can write your answers on the chat. As an individual, how do you think you can contribute to the solution of these challenges? What is your role? What can you bring into this debate as an individual? That's not like depending on the government or the university or the technology. It might mean you're using technology, but this is you to open up. Let's open our thinking to see, as an individual, how can I go around these challenges, these brick walls that we have? And this is the part where people's creativity really bubbles up. So if you have your thoughts, your ideas, or how have you managed as an individual? What are the creative things that you have been able to come up with to deal with these situations? So I encourage you to type your thoughts in the chat. So while you put that up, let's see what other comments do we have here. Again, this is about the government enabling environment and providing necessary infrastructure. I think we can always request the government to do this, and I think it is always the role of the government to provide these. But there are situations. Yeah.
If I may add, AB,
yeah.
It's not, the point is, what I tried to say before, it's the way of thinking forward. It's that foresight to not rely on your own resources only. There is solutions out there, technical solutions from other stakeholders, smaller companies, individuals, universities, research technology centers, commercialization options that are readily able to use, so you don't have to start on scratch. And that's what governments tend to do quite often. And that hampers the flexibility in reacting to those kind of critical times, to react in time, to have solutions available. There might not be 80% or 100% ready, but that's how industry ticks. Industry works with 70, 80% for customer satisfaction. And then they adopt, adapt, improve. If you try to achieve 100% success rate, you will fail and you will be too late in the market.
I mean, I think this would have been a nice point to hear other people's opinion, to hear what has worked for you, what have you done. Let's share our experiences together. I know some of us are in different parts of the world, but what have you done to alleviate the situation or the challenges that you've had to deal with?
If you don't, let us know. I don't know how long it's been.
So I think the typing is not working for people.
The chat box seems to be the challenge. Yeah. Maybe we need to do it by raise of hands.
Could you, yes, let's have raise of hands.
Can you say that again?
Oh, I'm speaking to the audience. If you have any question, you could raise your hand and we may consider giving you access to speak.
Right. Okay. So if you would like to speak, okay, now the organizers have made it open for you to speak. So if you like to contribute or say your opinion, please, this is the time to do that.
And you can just raise your hand like I did, and then we put you forward, and the organizers can monitor in case I miss it on the different pages.
Yes, we're monitoring.
So any stories of what someone has done to deal with some of these challenges of working remotely? Have you had some creative ways of working remotely? Have you been able to come up with different ways of generating income? So there are some examples we would like to share, but first, let's hear from you how you've handled this.
And there were already quite some nice examples.
Okay, so there's Temitope raising hands.
All right, Temitope.
Temitope, do you want to type? You can unmute and talk.
We also have Taufik's
talk
hands
or
up.
chat or it's all good.
Okay, hello.
All right,
Taufik, please go ahead.
Okay, good morning by my time.
Hello, good morning, thank you.
Okay, well, I'll just like to respond quickly to that. During the lockdown, I actually got an idea to build some food operated hand wash station and hygiene station, which I was able to make some little incomes from it, and then largely it has actually put me on the path of innovation and creativity. I've been working tirelessly to ensure that I will also, come up with better innovations that are not, well, in this part of the country or in this part of the world, electricity is a challenge. So try as much as possible to see how that these machines don't need electricity to work. They're manually operated just to prevent cross-contamination, and then, prevent having contact, using your hands to touch the faucets for water and soap and the likes. So I would say that the challenge has actually helped to birth a dream child or a brainchild rather.
Right. So, so from what I can gather from what Tim Topper is telling us is he identified an area where the government has not met up to some of the things they could have done in terms of providing the facilities that may enable you to get good hand hygiene. And he stepped in. He used the limited resources within his capacity to come up with a solution that's not just becoming a solution to an issue, but it's becoming even a source of income. Thank you very much for sharing that example, Tokbe. So I think we got, we have Taufik's hand up, but Bruno, do you want to respond to that before we pick Taufik?
Yeah, so I'm trying to look for it. There was a hand before, but I can't find it now.
That was Taufik, I think. Oh, we lost him. Okay, that's fine. So, but do you want to comment on what Tim Topper raised?
Well, I think that that's exactly a good example of what I mentioned in the if you just put it out as a quick fix or a quick and dirty fix. I would say that governmental organizations or even those who are responsible in making decisions are too hesitant in taking up the speed of how the world is turning. And if you get a pandemic that is hitting everybody in every country, in every corner of the world within a half year's time, I think it's about time to speed up the thinking process and the ways and the tools forward, how to use that. Because individuals have to, and they are doing it. So it's about time and to go forward. And I see it from the university side, how they're trying frantically to get this social distancing overcome by enhancing the learning experiences of students. And also companies are trying hard to enhance that lockdown situation where you are at home, you have your families, your kids, less income or no income, and then homeschooling and whatnot. It's the speed and the responsible decision-making processes on administrative stakeholder levels that need to improve, I would say.
Right. All right. So I think the next thing we'll just touch upon as we kind of start wrapping things up would be to talk about the role of digital technology. And this is an area where I'm actually passionate and I see a lot of opportunities. I think if going back, there are lots of areas where technology can play a role. But one of the things that I really like from Temitope's response is the fact that electricity is just still an issue. And for you to talk about digital technology playing a role, well, you do need to pair it up somehow. So there's still one layer that we need to address before we even start thinking about digital technology. But they say that necessity is the mother of all inventions. And what that opens up is, I've spoken to some people back home in Nigeria where businesses, if you think about Dropbox, think about OneDrive, think about all these technologies that most companies in the Western world are using to get work going on remotely. Well, these things, the assumption is they work synchronously. You can use them and somebody in another parts of the world in another place can actually work on the same document at the same time. But I've seen companies convert this, just flip it on its head, such that it meets the Nigerian context where you don't have electricity all the time. And what they do is a synchronous way of sharing documents, where once you have it, you just let it rest in the cloud, and when it's time, the other person picks it up. But it has its challenges. I guess my point is thinking around the affordances and the possibilities of what technology can provide. And I think the example from Temitope really kind of points that out. Technology helps us to cut some corners in terms of a number of the challenges that we have, but we do need to open up the thinking. So the answer is not just in technology, but it's about how we use technology, how we take technology and repurpose it to meet the challenges of our context. Bruno, do you want to respond to that?
Absolutely. That was a very valid point. And what I would like to take on before we wrap up, because we have about 2 minutes left, I think it's not the standalone solutions that are the ways forward. When you think about technology or digitalization or not enough electricity, it's the sustainable solutions in the energy sources. It's the sustainable solutions in education and networking and putting things together. So it's not a standalone issue anymore. And as long as you get the stakeholders on a, I would say, on a organizational level or governing level to interact with each other and to bring things forward, to look at the energy resources, the food resources, and all the sustainable necessities therein, it will be a very long journey in that.
Right.
I hope this was a positive point, not a negative one to close up. But I think our ambitions to run those kind of meetings is to get people the abilities to tap into the knowledge that is out there and to take it on and then take it forward.
Right.
That's interesting.
So on a concluding note, I'd like to just point out some conversations that I've had with different people across the world. I've even spoken to Kenneth,
So
who is
just
one of the
just a second,
organizers
Abayomi, before you conclude, you could infuse this when you're concluding. So I'd like to ask, do you think the government is under a lot of pressure? You know, when you look at the responses, you see a lot of people saying the government needs to do this, the government needs to do that. So is the government under a lot of pressure to do so much? Are they under so much expectations that they can actually fulfill? How do you think the government can balance that and what do you think the individuals can do at their own levels to play their roles? Thank you.
That's a tough one.
Well, so here's what I think.
Okay.
I think there are two ways to think about this. Yes, the government does have the responsibility to act, and then, but I just don't want to say that we cannot leave it all to the government. The individuals play a very significant role in this, particularly in our context in Nigeria. And I say this because I think from the government's perspective, the key thing is about trust. The government needs to get to a point where they can be trusted to be acting in the interest of the people. That's missing. It's going to just put most of the efforts that they put in place, it's going to just be watered down. Infrastructures are very tangible things that the government needs to put in place. But then there also needs to be that trust, because in a case of pandemic, knowledge flow becomes really important. When is it fake news? When is it real news? When is this news aimed at my well-being, or is it just meant for propaganda? But I still want to emphasize the individual part of this equation. So even in countries such as the US, so Kenneth is in the US, I'm here in Europe, there are still things that the government still do not provide. There are still issues, there are still concerns that people have in terms of the government. But this is where the role of the individual comes to play, and this is where innovation becomes really
Very
important.
critical. Okay.
What can you come up with as an individual? Bruno?
Bruno, please, 20 seconds. 20
No,
seconds.
I fully convey.
Okay.
And it's up on the individual levels to step forward and keep pushing.
Okay, that was very
Thank
succinct.
you.
Thank you so much. It's been an interactive section indeed. And to keep the time, we're just quickly going to proceed to our next session. We already have, okay. If you have questions, just type them in the chat box and then we can relate them to Bruno and Abayomi. They would answer by email and we can always send it to you. Thanks, Bruno. Thanks, Abayomi. So coming up now is Ibrahim Maigari Amadou, the founder and CEO of Livestock247.com is here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, welcome. Yes, I can hear you. Do you want to share your screen or something?
Well, fine. I thought maybe I emailed the presentation, but I can share the presentation on my screen. So
okay,
no
okay, awesome. You have the access. Please go ahead. So Ibrahim will be taking us on scaling digital innovations in agriculture through startups. It promises to be a very engaging session, and I can't wait to get started. Okay.
Just a bit, just, why is it, okay. Oh, I wasn't prepared for this, so let me.
Oh,
I thought you guys were going to present because I emailed my presentation earlier, so.
okay.
What is this? I thought I would share, I had it on the screen. I have to just give me a few seconds. I have to go, okay, I've seen it. Oh, no, it's not this. It. Can you see my screen now? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your
can.
screen. Please
Yes.
go ahead. Yes.
Okay, cool. So thank you very much, and forgive me for a few minutes. What I actually want to share, I'm trying to go back a few slides because I was going through. I wanted to share my experience and how technology is transforming. I want to just be specific to my industry, transforming the livestock industry, which I think will be a new thing in the discussion over the past couple of days, because when people are talking about technology and agri, there's so much emphasis on the crop side of agri. And what we're trying to do with Livestock 247 is to highlight the many opportunities in the livestock sector, especially the convergence of technology and livestock sector and the livestock sector as we see it and as we're doing it, as we're running the business. And so it's just our experience of Livestock 247. That's what I want to share with my colleagues here, and to see how technology is innovating, is disrupting the sector positively. So I want to skip with the introductions and the old long grammar, and then go straight into the meat, literally. We know the global livestock sector is becoming agriculture's most economically important subsector, and with demand in the countries for animal foods expected to be done for the next 20 years or so. I hope you're seeing my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, good. And throughout the developing world, the livestock industry is gradually becoming a means for hundreds of millions of people to escape absolute poverty, as the sector contributes to up to 80% of global GDPs in most developing countries. To be specific, Nigeria, livestock in Nigeria, it's a massive. Our asset base, our livestock asset base currently is in the region of over 3 trillion, 33, sorry, naira asset in terms of assets. And Nigeria accounts for over 43% of the livestock population of West Africa. This is based on the 2013 UN FAA survey that we think it's about getting obsolete now, because I mean it's 2013. But that is just to give you almost 50% is in Nigeria. And the 2011 agricultural sample survey released by the Federal Ministry of Agri in 2016 also says Nigeria has about 19.5 million cattle, 1.5 million sheep, and 72.5 million goats. The International Livestock Research Institute said, and this is very important, and I'm going to spend a little time here, 95% of the national herd in Nigeria is under pastoralist or smallholder management. That is, ranches and feedlots account for only 5%. And that is why at Livestock 247, what we're trying to do is basically to mainstream the livestock sector by using technology to open up the sector. And one thing that we also have to I have to emphasize here is we're not just only trying to mainstream the sector, but we're also equally trying to de-ethnicize the sector. What do I mean by de-ethnicizing the sector? Typically, when you talk about livestock in Nigeria, the typical Nigerian has this default setting of saying, okay, call me that mala, like it's a northern thing. So there's so much apathy, there's so much contempt, there's so much suspicion in terms of developmental policies for the sector. But where the Mickey is why people are missing the whole fact is the livestock industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry at the moment. I'm going to give you some stats. And people are not looking at it. I tell people that as a northerner, if I can go and invest in the oil sector in the South-South, what stopped a South-South person from investing in the livestock sector? Because they are both good businesses. So the International Livestock Research Institute also stated that demand for beef in developing countries will reach about 250 million metric tons in the year 2030. That's just about 9 years from now. Nigeria is a developing country with a growing population. We are estimated to be about 450 million by 2050. And we are surrounded by other developing countries. What is the implication here? Most people don't know that the meat you eat does not come from the typical pastoralist that you see, the herder that goes around, the nomadic pastoralist that you see. Most of the meat consumption in Lagos is being powered by supply from Sahelian countries. We've traced routes from South Sudan, Central Africa, from Morocco and Mauritania, from this part of the world, from Mali to Burkina Faso to Benin, all coming in, they are being powered by the consumption in Lagos. And these statistics released by the ILRI was troubling to us when we saw it, because if beef consumption is going to increase in developing countries, we are all surrounded by developing countries. It means the supplies that are coming from these developing countries will definitely will slow down, as we are noticing now. And as it's slowing down, we don't have any concerted national policy internally to improve our national production. So, and common sense tells you, basic economics principles will tell you that the more demand and less supply, what goes up? Price. So what we are saying is that people should start expecting an upsurge in the price of the commercial price of beef, of meat that you eat. So let's just move on. Beef consumption in Nigeria is predicted to grow rapidly from about 360,000 tons per annum to 1.3 million tons by 2050. That's just about 30 years from now. And remember what I've just said. Beef consumption is growing in the neighboring countries that are responsible for our supply, and we don't have a national policy internally, and we have myriad and different sort of problems internally, from the Boko Haram crisis in the northeast to the rural banditry in the northwest to the farmer herder crisis in the north central, and all sort of confusion surrounding livestock development in the country. Yet our demand and our consumption is increasing. Over 30% of the livestock consumed locally are imports from surrounding countries like Chad, Cameroon, Central Africa, Niger, and Burkina Faso, etc. So, to bring it closer home, Lagos, our favorite city, Lagos, where we are all hustling. Lagos has the largest livestock market in terms of consumption in sub-Saharan Africa. I want you to take these statistics to heart. Lagos slaughters an estimated 6,000 cows a day. This is a conservative estimate by our own standard. It was given to us by the Ministry of 2017. This does not even capture unregulated abattoirs and private slaughter slabs that are hidden from the regulations of government. 60,000 cows a day. The slaughter figure of Lagos, assumed to be conservative by most of us, equals to about 180,000 cows a month, with a combined value of over 27 billion naira monthly. And what you need to ask yourself is, who controls this? Who is responsible for it? What are the what do we need to participate in this value chain? Nobody is thinking about that. Let's come back to milk. Domestic annual milk production in Nigeria is only 400 million liters, resulting in a supply gap of over 7 million liters. To fill these growing gaps, Nigeria spends large amount of its scarce foreign exchange resource to import livestock products with an average United States dollar of 408.6 million. That's 173 billion. when dollar to naira was about 360. This is the worth of milk imports alone per year. But there are a lot of challenges. Like I said, crisis and criminality in the north central, northwest, and northeast. No ethnic dominance. There's a serious stereotype. The trade is dominated by one particular part of the country. Production is basically in the north. Consumption is in the south. If northern Nigeria today will say there will be no meat supply in Lagos, all OMBs and hotels are going to crash down. And I personally feel that is not supposed to be the case. We're supposed to get involved. We're supposed to open, and that is what we're basically doing with livestock proposal. Poverty among smallholder farmers, informality, production ratio, high mortality, zoonotic risks. All these challenges are what we've taken into consideration, and we launched Livestock 247 a couple of years ago to serve as Nigeria's first and only livestock platform. We developed an animal identification system that's based on the international standard of World Organization of Animal Health, International Standard Organization, and the WHO and the WTO. Animal identification gives you farm-to-plate traceability, enable all the farmers that we aggregated on our farm, whatever is being sold, transported, exchanged, and processed via our platform, you can trace it from farm to plate. What we're doing there is to also mitigate the spread of zoonotic disease. Unfortunately, COVID-19 is also zoonotic. So Livestock 247 is deploying its technological tools to not only give you a fit for slaughter and traceable livestock, we can give you the genetic history, we give you the immunization history of that livestock. We can even tell you the truck that transported that livestock from wherever it is coming to Lagos. And we establish feedlot programs all over the country to encourage mass participation through our online platform. The last time we did that last year, we had about 23 expressions of interest from virtually all parts of the country to tell you, to make you understand that business is an all welcoming business, because the cow doesn't understand Yoruba, Igbo, it's a kid, tender love and care. Give it food, water, and vaccines, veterinary care, and you're in big business. But unfortunately, we tend to ethnicize the whole sector. So we've organized feedlot programs whereby we created feedlots for people. We gave them our technical expertise, and then we off-take. After production, we off-take. We're doing digital education and enlightenment. Today, if you go to livestock247.com, there's what we call livestock. It's a chat room, live talk, where all lives talk about livestock. Anywhere it's free from any part of the world. If you have any agri livestock related question, you post it there. You see a professor in Scotland answering you, and somebody will post the question, how do I skin my rabbit from Australia? A professor in UI, University of Ibadan, will answer you. So we are creating a community whereby people and agri and livestock enthusiasts will come and have fun through our digital tools and enlightenment. We also have a consultancy project. We recently signed 2 internationally funded projects with 2 reputable international organizations that's taken us to 75,000 households in 5 states around the country. It's called the CELO project that we're doing. It's community empowerment and education of livestock owners. All this has been made possible because of the technological tools, our presence on our online presence. Our digital marketing team is dishing out videos every week. We have programs, we have consultancy, we're training people on the go. At the same time, we are mainstreaming the sector. So this is just to give you an insight into what we're doing. We created a lot of solutions to the extent that what we see today, we are everything livestock. We have a fintech, one of the commercial banks in Nigeria. We're taking financial services to the livestock market. What most people don't know is that most livestock businesses take place in rural livestock markets in the north. There's one particular market. Today is a Thursday. There's a market day that's going on in Megatari in Jigawa State. I'm telling you, the transaction today will be almost ₦1 billion. 70 to 80% of this transaction will be cash-based. We saw that as an opportunity and as a point because 80% is cash-based, and that's almost about 800 million naira will be transacted cash. So we saw it as a big point, and it is foiling insurgency. It is foiling rural banditry and kidnapping in the north. So we partnered with one of the big commercial banks in Nigeria.
Financial inclusion.
Hello.
Yeah, I said financial inclusion. Ibrahim, please, we have about a minute left for this session. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I can wrap it up here.
Okay.
All you need to do is you can log on livestock247.com, where everything livestock. We do fintech. We have an online pharmacy now, and then we have buyers. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a very, very interesting session. Thank you so much. It's amazing to see what Livestock 247 is doing, from real-time animal identification system, like you said, to livestock literacy and financial inclusion. It's encompassing. It's really, really encompassing. Please, you can go to livestock247.com to find out more about what, yes, about what Livestock 247 does, and perhaps reach out to Ibrahim. Could you share your Twitter handle on the chat so they could always reach out to you?
Can go to at livestock 247 NG on all social media platforms. We are very, very visible on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, including YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Livestock, just Google Livestock 247 NG for our social media handles. For our website is livestock247.com. And if you follow Livestock 247, I'm very sure you bump into me in the trades. I'm always around and stuff. So you can't miss me if you're following Livestock 247.
Got that. Thank you so much. We'll move over to the next session by Dr. Yale Okeremi, CEO, Precise Financial Systems. Dr. Yale, are you here? You're on mute. I've asked you to unmute, okay?
Yes.
You're welcome. Good afternoon. Please, you have the floor. Do you want to share your screen?
Okay, so let me go ahead and do that.
All right.
Well, is the screen visible now?
Yes, it is.
Oh, let me monitor myself actually.
Yes, it is. Go ahead, please.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to be here to briefly share my knowledge, or well, my ideas about the need for Nigeria to build the right capacity to drive technology and innovation. Now, it's very straightforward. Excuse me, I need to mute. I need to completely mute this. Yes. I hope I'm not
you echoing?
Having any feedback. I'm echoing, so that's why. So is it better now?
Yes, it is.
It's because I'm on two devices. I'm trying to monitor on the other one. Thank you. Just in case something goes wrong, I can easily switch over. Well, first of all, I want to thank the organizers of this great conference for inviting me to share a few thoughts about this. Now, first of all, today we know for sure that technology is a sine qua non for every country and every industry. So if you interviewed just about every progressive company CEO today, what they are most likely going to tell you is that they themselves, even my colleague that just finished his presentation talking about agriculture, you would hear things like everything is heavily dependent on technology. And you hear even car manufacturers, aircraft manufacturers, agricultural firms telling us today that they are actually technology firms. And they are very correct if they said that. I mean, take a look at what's going on in fintech. Now, we need to understand, if we just draw back and we understand how fintech came to be. Ordinarily, fintech, which stands for financial technology, are activities that are happening because, ordinarily speaking, technology firms are providing banking services. And if you take a look at why this is happening, one can see that the reason why it is happening is because banks traditionally give services to their customers. After a while, banks realized that they needed to use technology to support businesses, to provide those services. And so what did they do? They employed the services of technology companies. to provide those services. And then the technology companies got smart and asked themselves, why should we sell this technology to the banks to provide services to customers? Why can't we use that same technology to provide the services ourselves?
Directly.
And that's why today we have fintech companies. And so take a look at just any industry, including pharmaceuticals, healthcare, you realize that there's a preponderance of technology use for support, technology use for service delivery. And my guess and my projection is that every business at the end of the day will invariably begin to see the influx of technology players in those industries. So you begin to see very soon healthcare that is delivered using technology and that is being provided not by healthcare practitioners, but by technology practitioners. We will begin to see agriculture, both livestock and plants, that are not going to be provided by the farmers anymore, but by tech firms. And so what I'm trying to drive out here is that for nations that are smart and that are very serious will recognize both the opportunities and threats that technology provides. Actually, I should say that gone are the days when we used to fight wars, military wars, and they will say there's a frontier, there's a battlefield, and you have a few men and shooting guns and firing cannons. Today, wars are fought using technology remotely. You know what the US did some time ago to the Iranian nuclear enrichment program, just planting some Trojans here and there. And today you hear intercontinental ballistic missiles. They are being controlled remotely. We see drones. So we see that virtually everything is dependent on technology. And therefore, my guess is that any nation that knows that is worth its salt will have to understand that they need urgently to provide technology to be able to actually deliver. That is the crux of the matter. And so my next slide, I just want to quickly take a look at some countries, and I'm not going to waste time on this because I know this is a very busy conference, it is packed, and I will not exceed my time. But so if you take a look at what's going on in countries like India, you would realize that while Nigeria is still grappling with oil subsidy, when the price of oil goes up, we feel that we are rich, we begin to think that we're a rich country, and when the price of oil comes down, everything is gloomy, we do not know what to do, government is actually frustrated, and then the next thing government can do is to face the citizens and begin to tax them and hope they can get revenue. Countries like India, they also have oil, but if you take a look at how much money they make, the revenues of India from oil, when you relate it to the amount that they make from technology, you realize that this country is doing a lot more using knowledge and using technology, using outsourcing than even oil, which is like a natural resource. Take a look at Brazil as well. You'll see that Brazil is leveraging on a very strong ICT market. They have about 1.5 million people employed. If you took a look at India, one single company, Tata Consulting Services, employs more than 250,000 people. So we are talking about some telling us that they want to employ 720,000 people. I think this is absolutely ridiculous if we actually understand what the power and what the capacity of a thinking and a productive nation can be. Take a look at Singapore, a country that is only one city, a city-state. They don't even have arable land. They don't even have good drinking water. They do not have a large population. But take a look at what their revenues are. Take a look at what the sovereign wealth fund of Singapore is. Then we can begin to appreciate what the possibilities are. Take a look at China. Look at the revenues from China, from technology. Initially, people used to think that China was just about copying and pasting. But take a look at what China is doing today using technology. So much is going on. And then we look at the United States. Of course, that goes without saying. Clearly, this is a very clear leader in technology. And you can actually see, if you know what is going on, the real battle between the United States and China It's a battle of who controls 6G. And the idea is about 6G. It's not about anything, but about who is going to control the data. And here we are in a country where we are inviting foreigners to come and even do our national ID card for us. I think it is absolutely senseless, and I think it's a shame that we are doing this, because what we are actually doing is selling our data, which people know today that data is the oil of today and of the future. So smart people understand that people that control the platform control the data, and people that control the data control the business. And that is the reason why people, if you take a look at what Facebook and Twitter and co are doing, at a point you recollect that Facebook came up with even a cryptocurrency, the Libra. And whether you believe it or not, these issues are going to continue. It is all a game of who controls technology. Because before now, we used to think that money and currency were national symbols, national pride that must be controlled by central banks. But we can begin to see that not only are tech companies controlling national currencies, they are now actually talking about controlling world currencies. It tells us that these things are possible. Take a look at even our neighbors in South Africa, what they are doing in technology. The idea here is that I'm making a very sound position that any country that does not recognize and appreciate the need to have innovation in technology is actually waiting to be eaten up. And that's exactly what we are doing in Nigeria. So if you take a look at what we have done in Nigeria in the past few years, we have actually opened up our economy to foreigners to come and control everything. So what's going on is that the foreigners come with their own platform and they take over, and then they make this thing look like they are giving us foreign loans. Rather than giving us foreign loans even in cash, what they come here with is coming to do commerce. They actually even bring their own citizens as employees in Nigeria, and therefore even Nigerians are unable to get those kind of jobs. But take a look and contrast this to what, and I'm not necessarily saying this is the best, but take a look at what is going on in the United States today. Yesterday, the Trump administration still came up and said that the H-1B visa, which for a very long time has been so useful, which has allowed many people to come into the United States, they are further restricting issuance of H-1B visas because they want to allow more of their own citizens to get employed in the United States. And if you take a look at the most, the high beneficiaries of the H-1B, they are tech firms. Now the United States has realized that for too long, they have allowed other countries in their quest to think that they would own the intellectual property and allow other countries to develop the products. They now realize that those other countries, whilst they are developing the products, are also getting intellectual property and they are becoming stronger. Hence, the United States is trying to do some backpedaling. And here we are in Nigeria, we are opening up ourselves. But again, without necessarily saying some things are good or bad, what I'm saying is that the truth of the matter is that any economy that is going to grow is never ever going to grow or develop with the use of foreign aid. It is never going to grow or develop with the use of foreign capital. It is never going to grow or develop with the use of foreigners. Any nation that is going to advance, any nation that is going to do the right thing is only going to do it starting from home. Because in truth, there is no nation that loves you the way you love yourself. So if you allow yourself to be open up to any other country, it is your cup of tea. And I keep saying this, these issues actually affect national security. We have a president who sits in what we think is the most secure villa in Nigeria. Who has the blueprint of that villa? Is the blueprint of that villa in the hands of Nigerians? Therefore, if the blueprint is not in the hands of Nigerians, it's in the hands of foreigners. What does that mean? It means that it is impossible for Nigeria to have a very slight diplomatic row with such countries. They will take out our president without any effort. These are the kind of challenges that we are facing. And these are the reasons why it is imperative for any nation to actually decide to innovate, for any nation to actually decide to be on the table. Because I dare say that if you are not at the table as a participant for discussions and conversations, then you are on the table for menu. You are going to be eaten up. And needless to say that as I speak today, except Nigeria reverses this trend, we are already being eaten up. You take a look at the landscape. Very recently, the Minister for Interior came and said that they were awarding some contract, I do not remember the amount of billions of naira, to Huawei or so, some Chinese consortium for the immigration system. As far as I'm concerned, there's no wisdom in that. Why couldn't we have allowed our own people? And you are discussing immigrations. We want to put our immigrations in the hands of foreigners. As far there's nobody that can convince me. The latest we are discussing is we are talking about power. We are talking about a government-to-government transaction between Nigeria and Germany. It doesn't matter what you tell me that you will have electricity. As long as that is not in the hands of nationals, we are just joking. And as far as I'm concerned, are we saying that there are no Nigerians that have capacity to do this? My answer is actually no, because I do know for sure that there are Nigerians. We went to the same schools that all these people went to, and everybody knows what his level in class was. So if we went to the same schools, are we saying, why do we then think people are better than us? I think the real issues is how we have allowed leadership to emerge in this country. We have a system where we are not allowing people that have knowledge and capacity to lead us. And hence, the kind of things that we should have taken as challenges nationally, we want to continue to outsource. We just expect that money is coming out of the ground and the governors and other people go to Abuja once a month and then they have a federal allocation committee and share monies. I think those days are over. And my imperative is that Nigeria needs immediately to begin to think of innovation and begin to ensure that our compensation mechanism is commensurate with the inputs that we are giving. I have a few suggestions here, and these are some of the reasons why we are having, I've spoken about this. We have not allowed our own companies to scale. Rather than allow our own companies to scale, we rather give the job to foreigners. This has to reverse and stop immediately. We have to learn that we have to produce what we consume and consume what we produce, and then allow ourselves to actually try, stumble, fall, get up, and rise again. Until such a time, we will just be joking and wasting our times. Yes, we do not have any national technology policy. Yes, you come up with an executive order 3, executive order 5, and stuff like that. How effective have these things been? Are we still not siphoning national resources to foreigners? We do not have national policies that give us standards. And of course, what has happened is that there's a flight to quality. Young Nigerians are not interested in what we are doing anymore. Young Nigerians will rather want to go and do extractive business and do things that are probably not even ethical because they just want the cash. A lot of young Nigerians do not appreciate that they can actually become legitimately rich and wealthy by doing the right things, because we have chosen not to have the right role models. I remember the last time Mark Zuckerberg came to Nigeria, even the president was struggling for a photo opportunity. But I dare say that in Nigeria, there are millions of people in the class of Mark Zuckerberg that have not been allowed to shine. And perhaps if Mark Zuckerberg was in Nigeria, he probably would be a bus conductor right now. The point I'm making here is that as far as nations are concerned, the nations that develop are the nations that create platforms for their citizens to bring out the best in themselves. A failure to allow citizens, particularly the youth, to bring out the best in themselves is a nation that has set itself up for the kind of disaster that we are facing. And I dare say that we have not even seen anything yet, because if you take a look at what is going on today, we have a lot of Nigerians. It's not because they don't have a livelihood that is the problem. That's the least of the problem. The real big issue is that a lot of Nigerians have no hope. They do not even have a hope. And that is the greatest disaster that I think a country is about to get into. Now, here are some of the recommendations. This is my last slide in closing.
Yes, Dr. Emi, I was going to say we have about a minute more.
Oh, yes. So this is my
Okay.
last slide.
Okay.
So these will be my recommendations. I insist that Nigeria needs to look inwards. Rather than celebrating that young men and young ladies are raising capital, $100 million, $20 million, there's nothing to celebrate about raising millions of dollars as capital. What we should be celebrating is having companies that actually create values, having companies that actually create jobs, having companies that actually create intellectual property, and having companies that actually create wealth for the nations. And I think we can identify a few of them to start with. Maybe we identify 20, 30 of them. They do not need cash. They do not need you to give them any cash. What you need to do is identify these companies and allow them to get involved in national projects. For example, the one I gave, the power projects, these are huge projects. The immigrations project, these are huge projects. The national identity project, these are huge projects. We keep giving them to foreigners. We should allow Nigerians to participate and get involved in developing these things and let them stumble if they would and let them rise. When we identify such companies, we can actually create our ecosystem around them. Now, let me say this on the last statement I will make is that whilst people go and talk about the Silicon Valley and about startups, I say I have a doctorate in IT entrepreneurship. And I say that Silicon Valley is not a story of startups. Silicon Valley is a story of establishment, cooperating with the United States government to create a virtuous ecosystem where startups, venture capitalists, private equity, and the markets have a virtual system to create global companies. And I think Nigeria can do the same if we put on our thinking cap and we reverse this negative trend. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Yeli. That was a very, very fantastic session. I agree with you. It's high time we started looking inward and explore our own potentials, from national projects to just recognition. And you raised a very controversial point when you said we shouldn't necessarily celebrate raises. I know a lot of persons would have their own perspective about that, because some may argue that if they don't celebrate if the monies they are raising, how do you want them to actually scale? And there's no funding internally to actually look forward to. So I'd like to ask you, how do you balance that? Because a lot of these innovative companies are actually here. We have them locally, but the resources they need might be the issue. So how do we balance that?
I think it's very easy to balance. I started my business 27 years ago with 8,250 naira. That at that time was about $70 or so. We still are in business. Since the day we started business, we have never celebrated any races. And that means clearly that raising capital does not guarantee any success. Actually, there's something called overcapitalization, which is a panacea for failure. What actually guarantees success in business? Not lack of capital, it is lack of grit, it is lack of vision, it is lack of resilience, and it's a lack of capacity. We have seen several companies that have been highly capacitized, highly funded, and they failed.
That's true.
And they failed.
That's
so
true.
I said this, since 8,015, and nobody has given us a kobo. We are doing very well. We have in more than 38 countries. Look, the truth of the matter is that I think the issues is the narrative that we are actually peddling. We allowed our system to be infiltrated, and people are singing the wrong songs. We are singing from the wrong hymns. People are thinking that until you have capital, you are going to be dependent. You don't actually need so much. What I insist that you need are national opportunities to prove yourself. If you do national opportunities, and you do not even need to think like you must start from the very top. I started doing business getting 40,000 naira contracts. That's how we started. That is how you develop your muscles. That's how you develop your capacity. That is how you can make small mistakes and fail small before you go big. So I think the challenge is everybody wants to start business. And when I start a business, I'm driving over. No, I started my business. I didn't even have a car.
Delaying gratification.
Yes, we need to learn all these things. As far as I'm concerned, there's a whole lot of nonsense that is being sold in the industry.
Okay, before we want to play some tapes about some innovative companies, but we have one question from Kenneth. Kenneth, can you speak now?
Yeah, Dr. Keremi, thank you so much for your contribution. It raises a lot of a lot of passion and the things we need to do. I am thinking here that I'm in New York right now, and I'm thinking, does Nigeria really understand the digital transformation that is about happening? And what do you think we should be doing, both government and individuals, at this time, with relative to COVID-19 being an opportunity that has exposed everybody? I just want to see your take about this, if we really understand what is happening around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. And I think that's a very intelligent question. That's one of the very first points I raised in April, that we had a smart leadership in this country. The COVID-19 pandemic should have been the biggest opportunity for Nigeria and Africa to showcase that there's a need for the world to have a secondary factory other than in China. But what did we do? We failed and we bungled it up. And I say that the real challenge that we have is not because we do not have cancer. The real challenge that we have is because we persistently, since independence, have been led by our own very worst, who do not have capacity to understand that you can create a whole lot from nothing. What people are used to is that they can only create money coming out of the ground. Now, let me tell you what has happened with the pandemic, which you have rightly said, is that yes, there were initial projections that it was going to kill a lot of people in Africa. By an act of God, it didn't happen. Even though we do not have a sound healthcare, we do not have sound everything. But take a look at what is going on. We have a system that has sold a very, very terrible narrative to our youth. If you did a poll today, most of the people you would ever see are not interested in doing hard work anymore. Rather, everybody wants money on the go. Life has never been like that. Take a look at every nation that has developed. Take a look at China. China shut its border for nearly 30 years. And they said something. It is either you produce or you die. But we want to keep opening and having a good life without being productive. I think the biggest challenge is that we have allowed this narrative to peddle for too long. We have people that we celebrate as our leaders who you cannot really point to any productive thing that they have ever done in the world in their lives before. They only live on the rent that is coming from our commonwealth until we get to a situation where we have people who create value and are being adequately compensated for doing what they are doing legitimately, such that the narrative is peddled and we have younger Nigerians who want to be like them. Until we have such a situation, how many examples do we have? Kenneth, who wants to do the kind of thing you are doing in Nigeria? Because you are not making the fast buck. The point is that until we are allowing people who are productive to be well compensated, this narrative will continue. And I bet you the narrative is simply not sustainable.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Yeli. That was really, really fascinating session. Thank you. If you have more questions, please send it via the chat box and Dr. Yeli would answer also via the chat box. All right. Now we'll proceed to doing a showcase of innovative businesses we've identified in Nigeria this year. We have about 10 of them. Our technical team will roll that right now. Stay tuned. After that, we'll go to the session of Nicholas Bright from Innovation Booster Orange Africa. He will be speaking on scaling up next frontier for innovation labs in Africa. Nicholas has already been here since the start, so he's going to come up right after the video.
Innovative startup companies in Nigeria. Startups and small businesses are the engine that will drive such economic development in our country and in Africa at large. We bring you 10 innovative startup companies founded by young Nigerians that are making big impacts in different sectors of the economy. They are attracting foreign investments into the country, solving big problems, creating jobs, and driving innovation in Nigeria. They are Number 1, 54Gene. 54Gene was launched in January 2019 by Dr. Apasi Eniobong to address the significant gap in the global genomics market. The company is unlocking the African genome, thereby building African genetic data sets to make landmark discoveries and to support therapeutic development. Located in Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, and in the US, 54Gene aims to improve the development, availability, and efficacy of medical products that will prove beneficial to Africans and the wider global population. As part of its next stage of growth, the company will further explore partnerships and opportunities for co-development of drug targets and therapeutics, and expects to partner with pharmaceutical, medical device, and diagnostics companies for clinical programs in Africa. 54Gene has attracted $19.5 million in foreign investments. Number 2, Farm Crowdy. Farm Crowdy is Nigeria's first digital agriculture platform and a globally recognized agri-tech company that connects small-scale farmers across Nigeria with smart farming techniques, quality farm inputs, and access to broader markets to earn a decent profit margin. Farm Crowdy is admired for its impact on collaborative food production and boosting food security across the continent. The impact of its activities is great, empowering smallholder farmers as a way of contributing to increasing domestic food production and security. So far, over 12,000 rural farmers have been able to keep a job, expand farm operations 5 times more, and increase their income by 80% since Farm Crowdy launched in November 2016. Farm Crowdy was founded by Onyeka Akuma, Ifeanyi Anazodo, Akindele Phillips, Jimo Mayegun, and Tokwe Omotani. The company has so far attracted $2.4 million in funding. Number 3, Flutterwave. Flutterwave was founded in 2016 by Inyolua and Olugbenga Agbola to provide technology, infrastructure, and offer services to enable merchants, payment service providers, banks, and businesses build secure and seamless payment solutions. The company has achieved a great deal so far and has raised $64.5 million in funding, announced partnership with Worldplay FIS, and launched an e-commerce platform for SMEs. Flutterwave is making strides, even technologically, in building future-proof and resilient products in a dynamic environment. Number 4, Kobo 360. Kobo 360 is a digital technology platform disrupting Africa third-party logistics. The company operates a tech-enabled digital logistics platform that aggregates end-to-end haulage operations to help cargo owners, truck owners, and drivers achieve effective supply chain framework. Launched in 2017 by Obi Ozo and Ife Oyedele II. Kobo 360 uses big data and technology to reduce logistics friction across the sectors like agriculture and manufacturing. Kobo 360 has moved close to 1,000 kg of goods, aggregated a fleet of over 10,000 drivers and trucks for over 80 large enterprises such as Dangote Group, DHL, Unilever, Olam, African Industries, Flour Mills of Nigeria, and Lafarge. With operations in West and East Africa, Kobo 360 is determined to build a global logistics operating system that will empower trade and commerce for Africa and emerging markets. They have attracted $37.3 million in funding. Number 5, Live Bank. It is always a sad and an unfortunate thing when someone has to die in any Nigerian hospital because the hospital does not have enough blood or oxygen for the patient, or the patient cannot afford them. This is the critical problem Live Bank is addressing. The company with operations in Nigeria and Kenya uses technology as a multimodal distribution platform to deliver blood and oxygen to hospitals, thereby making them available when and where they are needed. The company continues to innovate in the way that they deliver their core services and now uses drones for delivery. Temi Giwa Tuposun founded the company in 2015. She was the winner of African Netpreneur Prize of $250,000. They have also received a total of $225,000 in funding. Number 6, Paystack. Paystack is a financial technology company founded in 2015 by Shola Akinlade and Ezra Olubi. The startup company provides a platform that helps businesses in Africa accept payments on their websites or apps from anyone, anywhere around the world through credit card, money transfer, and also mobile money. Paystack, through its innovativeness, is around processing about 15% of all online payments in Nigeria. Several businesses of all sizes, including telcos, airlines, government agencies, and small businesses. Paystack has attracted $11.7 million in funding. Number 7, Tizeti. Tizeti provides broadband internet services to densely populated urban centers in Africa. Tizeti enables millions of Africans to access the internet through its solar-powered towers in Nigeria and provides residences and businesses with price-friendly, unlimited high-speed broadband internet covering Lagos, Ogun, and River States in Nigeria. Tizeti has installed over 25,000 public Wi-Fi hotspots within Nigeria with 1,500,000 users and partnered with Facebook to offer express Wi-Fi, rolling out thousands of new internet hotspots across Nigerian cities. The company has since expanded its services to Ghana with new brand GhanaWiFi.com and its voice service WiFiCall.ng. Kendall Ananyi and Ifeanyi Okonkwo founded the company in 2010. They have attracted 5.1 million in funding. Number 8, PiggyVest. PiggyVest, originally known as Piggybag.ng, was launched in 2016 as a savings product. Over the years, they have introduced innovative products from savings tools like SafeLock, Target and Group Savings, and PiggyFlex to insurance products like YvonneFlex, as well as Trackit, which helps individuals and businesses in becoming more effective at financial management. In May 2018, PiggyVest acquired Gold Microfinance Bank. The founders are Joshua Chibueze, Ayo Akinola, Nonso Eagle, Odunayo Eweni, and Somto Ifezue. They have attracted 1.2 million in funding. Number 9, Bitcoins. As digital and cryptocurrencies adoption across the globe increases, Nigeria is not left behind in exploring the opportunities in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Nigeria is, in fact, one of the leading countries in cryptocurrency adoption in Africa. Bitcoins is a tech startup founded in 2017 as a peer-to-peer platform that enables Nigerians to easily buy, sell, or exchange cryptocurrency with around 7 million worth of digital cash traded each month on its platform. The company has also launched innovative products called SendCash that enables Nigerians receive money into their bank accounts in Nigeria from any country using Bitcoin. Bitcoins was founded by Timi Ajiboye, Ire Aderinokon, and Tomiwa Lashebikon. They have received 1.2 million in funding. Number 10, NairaX. NairaX is one of the most popular Bitcoin exchange platforms in Nigeria. It allows users to buy and sell Bitcoin and perfect money with Nigerian Naira. The platform provides a fast, simple, and easy Bitcoin exchange service that is accessible to Nigerians. The company, which began operations in 2015, was founded by David Ajala and aims to utilize the power of Bitcoin to provide a more stable and healthy monetary system, allowing Nigerians to access the wealth and power of Bitcoin. NairaX currently processes over 1 billion Naira worth of Bitcoin transactions each month, and the platform has accumulated over 130 users with over 900 transactions. It has become one of the most trusted exchanges to buy and sell Bitcoin in Nigeria, making the purchase of Bitcoin more convenient, and being transparent regarding pricing and fees are the top priorities for NairaX. This has been put together by Nigerian Innovation Summit 2020 team, proudly sponsored by NCC and Zoho. Innovative startup companies in Nigeria. Startups and small.
Okay. I must have gotten carried away just listening to that wonderful lineup. Okay, I hear echo. It's good to be here once again. I'm excited. I know you're also excited. This is day 3 of the Nigeria Innovation Summit with the theme Innovating in Critical Times. And as critical as the times are, I'm quite positive, given the figures I'm seeing in dollars, that we're gradually getting there. And I think it syncs with what the next speaker will be telling us, because interestingly, the figures and the facts don't seem to lie. If we have a global GDP that's expected to grow by 15.7 trillion by 2030, and by 2025, we expect that the global AI market is expected to be almost 60 billion. I'm concerned. So what's the fate of the emerging economy? What part of the pie are we eating or are we playing? And so it's an honor to have Navneet Balia, the founder CEO of Setna AI Incorporated, Ottawa, Canada, speak to us on artificial intelligence and the opportunity for emerging economies like Nigeria. And I know out there in the tech space and even Nigerians listening, we want to see how we can plug in, because we are very aware that's not just Nigerians that are listening to this. All over the continent of Africa, we have pockets of people, probably spread, listening to this. So it's an honor to have Navneet Balia speak to us on artificial intelligence and the opportunity for emerging economies in Nigeria. Navneet Balia, if you're there, you can take it away.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear and loud.
Yes, okay, great. I put a small presentation together. I was just wondering if I could share my screen, if that's all right.
Yeah, share a screen. Yes. Yeah, great. You can.
You can cut off. Let me know.
Sorry, just 1 second, please.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry, just 1 more second. I'm new to using this, so.
Okay. All right, I think we see it.
So can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can see it. If you can see it, can you have a show of hands? Okay, I think one person.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, great. Yes, so I think I have like about 15 minutes. So I'd like to discuss, artificial intelligence and the opportunity for emerging economies. So a little bit about my background. I have over 18 years of experience in artificial intelligence and machine learning. That's been primarily in academia. So the first 15 years of that experience has been on the academic side through graduate studies, postdocs and whatnot. And the last 3 years, I've been working as an independent consultant on a variety of projects, which include things from cybersecurity to facial recognition to document summarization. And so I just bring that up just to sort of give you a little bit about the kind of perspective that I'm bringing. I'm not an expert on emerging economies, but I've done like quite a bit of research in preparing this presentation. So I hope some of my insights from the work that I've done before is beneficial to everybody in this presentation today. So as part of my research, this quote came up that I found that brought a smile to my face. It was a TechCrunch article from earlier this year that Nigeria is becoming Africa's unofficial tech capital. So it'd be great to hear like feedback if that's like actually the case. But I mean, I think any time that there's any like homegrown, like grounds root sort of activity that brings a community to this notoriety is a great thing. And it'd be great to learn more about what's going on in Lagos in particular. So artificial intelligence, the promise of AI. I mean, we've heard a lot about that artificial intelligence is like critical to every business. It's going to be critical to every business going forward. That it's going to change the world. That it's um, that there's like sort of like unlimited opportunities for AI. And I'm hoping in this presentation to sort of describe what are some of um, the interesting aspects of like incorporating AI into your business or like starting up like an AI company. Because I'm in the area, I'm a little bit biased, but I think that that it's true that AI is going to touch everyone's lives either directly or indirectly in the coming years. So just as like a kind of definition to sort of like help ground the presentation, we use the words like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, sometimes interchangeably. They are like highly related, like as this diagram shows. But for the purposes of this talk, we don't need to go into details about the differentiating types of AI or exactly what AI is. But I feel like this machine learning definition, actually like from the founders of machine learning, even from like 1959, is still applicable today. That it's machine learning is the field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. And there's consequences to why you're not explicitly programmed. And I'll touch on this as we keep moving forward. So the question is like, why now? Why is artificial intelligence coming into play in the last few years? And that's really like, I believe like four things. One is data, one is algorithms, the third is compute, and the fourth is infrastructure. Infrastructure, I feel, is often neglected in these why now question. So we all know that there's a great proliferation of data from various sources. And that's what's like enabling these algorithms, these AI algorithms to be able to incorporate this information or being able to learn from the data itself. There's been advancements in the algorithms that are being used today, especially in deep learning. The computational power has increased greatly, primarily through the use of graphical processing units. And on the infrastructure side, there's been like a number of new services, like whether it's from Amazon or now Snowflake, that helps like aggregate your data, help you build these artificial intelligence, like code the pipelines to do this work and deliver AI products and services to your customers. So examples of AI, like in emerging markets, we have like in Kenya, Mexico, Rwanda as like a few examples, but these include things like in fintech, like to use as artificial intelligence to assist for like applying for loans. There's analysis of healthcare is like a big area. So in Mexico, there's analysis data for at-risk diabetic patients. And I love this story about Zipline in Rwanda about using drones for delivery of blood and medical supplies. And so if we look, so this is an incomplete map, of course, but I think it starts to give like an idea of the activity of artificial intelligence in different ventures like across the continent. And it's great to see Nigeria again being like sort of a leader in this area on the continent. And so as part of my research, I found some very interesting companies like Lara, which is a chatbot for helping people move around Lagos. Kudi is a fintech company. again, like an AI chatbot for helping people with financial services. But I also found two other so that's, activity of companies that are based in Lagos, but there's always a great opportunity for partnerships with companies across the world. So there's an example of Ubinawa, a Montreal-based company in Canada, which is helping families analyze a baby's cry using their smartphones to detect early signs of anomalies that could be fatal, such as asphyxia and brain injury. And then I most recently started using a service called Calendly. So it's not based in Africa, and I don't actually think they're using artificial intelligence, but I just wanted to bring it up that the co-founder is a Nigerian immigrant in the United States. And I think it's another great example of people seeking opportunities around the world and making their home countries proud. So in terms of, so I have a few more slides. So one of the things that we see globally is that there's still a lot of room for growth in the adoption of AI. You can see in this chart, about 50% of companies haven't started thinking about AI or plan to incorporate AI over the next 12 to 24 months. If we break this down in terms of adoption by country or by region, it's not a surprise that in North America, you have a little bit of acceleration in the multiple AI projects that are currently being used. And then you can see that in Africa, there's a more, there's a greater sort of dependence on looking at AI over the next 24 months. But I don't view this as Africa lagging behind. I view this optimistically as a great opportunity for people in emerging markets like Nigeria to adopt this technology. And so the question then, of course, becomes why is this delay? So again, looking at companies globally, I wish I had a breakdown of this by region, but globally, you could see that there's really two areas that, or at least one area that is of big concern, is the return on investment. And this is something that I've also observed in the companies that I've helped, that companies are unsure, existing companies are unsure about how this technology can help them grow their companies or reduce costs. And so I'll sort of speak to sort of some things that can be done to reduce this this worry about how to return on investment. One other area that I would say that should be of greater concern, but on this chart it shows that it's of less concern, is ethics in AI. I think this should be a much greater concern, not for the adoption, but it should be of trying to understand how to best protect customers as well as delivering them top-notch services. So I might skip ahead for the sake of time.
Yes, because we have 5 minutes or thereabout.
Okay, so sorry, let me just see. So I would say that in terms of trends to sort of look out for, there's a current movement which is called no code or low code. And what this does is actually this idea of drag and drop technology to create applications. And I believe this is coming to machine learning. And so the reason why this is of importance is that there would be a lower entry to barrier for creating different applications that incorporate machine learning. Edge computing is another area which I see tremendous growth. So by edge computing, I mean the end devices. So things like mobile phones will have greater capacity to process these algorithms instead of on, big clusters of computers in the cloud. The Internet of Things, you'll have different sensors like embedded in various applications that will also help this proliferation of data. This new data will open up like new opportunities. And 5G, I know that, investment in this technology is varies by country, but this will greatly improve like bandwidth and latency, which will again like be able to offer like new products and services. So just quickly, like I think AI is, again, it's important to like understand the people involved. So people in terms of, developing this technology, but also, data biases, ethics, government policy. It's an enabling technology that it can create new jobs, but it can also make jobs redundant. So be aware of automation. And I think as an educator myself, like I feel that um, that creating new programs, like I read earlier in September that there's going to be investment by the Nigerian government to create an accelerator for artificial intelligence and robotics. And I think that's a great thing. But I think the other portion that needs to be added is opportunity. How do we give young people and old people, but young people in particular, the opportunity to express through like startups or like creating businesses to take their knowledge and apply them. And I'm sorry for like the rush of this presentation, but I just wanted to have like a few conclusions, which is that I believe that for developed and emerging economies, they face many of the same technical challenges when adopting AI. There's of course differences in like some of the infrastructure that is provided or that is lacking in emerging economies, like internet access, for example. But I think many of the same challenges that face like that question of return on investment is actually present in both developed and emerging economies. So I think there's like an abundance of opportunities across the world, and particularly for emerging markets. But I would like people to think globally. It's great that you can take advantage of knowing the culture of your particular home countries, but thinking on a global scale is great. And again, education and opportunities. So if anybody has any questions or any comments, I would love any feedback. And if there's time for questions, then I could always answer something here.
Okay, because we're working on time. We'll give room for 2 questions in 5 minutes. Anyone have a great presentation, awesome presentation. I'm sure if we gave you more time, you would have dug deep, but that for us is good enough, because even if we don't know the accurate percentage, we know that near some 40 something percent productivity can be enhanced using AI, and you aptly put ink to the thoughts we had in our minds, because we are also aware that the number of AI startups grew by some 14 times over the last 2 decades. And you gave us reasons why that possibly happened. You talked about data, talked about algorithm, talked about compute, and then infrastructure. So it's an awesome presentation for us, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are taking notes. So we'll have time for just about 2 questions. So if anyone has a question, you can unmute, right? You have a question you can ask, or if not, the contact is there. You can always get across to Navneet or set it via a chat box, and you can get across to him. Question? You can unmute and ask a question. Okay.
Hi, Navid.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for your great presentation. You mentioned AI bias.
Yes.
That's a challenge that we've started seeing Even in the US, there are people working on that. What aspect, can you say something, about it? Like most people don't even understand it, you know.
So AI bias, like, so for example, like if people are looking at, I mean, all these algorithms are based on like historical data and to make future predictions. So for example, in job hiring situations, if companies use existing sources like resumes to predict what their best new candidate would be, if the company already has biases, like in terms of not hiring or like having a low hire for women or not hiring as many visible minorities, the algorithms are just going to take advantage of this in this example and again suggest people who are not in those demographics. And so I think being aware of biases in data in particular, it's not an easy thing to do, but I think being conscious of it and looking for those sorts of things in terms of the stages of data cleanup or data preparation can really help reduce bias that these algorithms would unfortunately take, because they are not aware. So they'll take advantage of just the data that's provided. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. So where does it leave out, um, countries that are not even, AI producers, or, making AI machines and making decisions around, AI? Where does that leave them out?
Sorry, so like in terms of countries that don't have the data, or I didn't
Like,
quite understand.
yeah, countries that don't, and they are not in the decision making. When you see how much Amazon has invested in Google, has invested in AI, you see how much Google has also invested. Where does it leave, other, less players?
I think I mean, on the surface, it seems like it would reduce the number of players, but I mean, again, like I'm hopeful, like I have a bias towards optimism. And I believe that these services, if people are aware that they're not providing the best experience for customers and users, that this really provides an opportunity for people to create new technologies, new services that can compete with the Amazons and the Google to provide solutions that are best fit to the cultures of different countries around the world. Um, and so that's another thing of like reducing bias, is like understanding your like the culture in which that technology would be provided. So it's always a nice thing when, like, partner with different countries, but having a say on how that data is being collected, how that data is being processed, I think will just help people like around the world for better services.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. That's wonderful. Okay. Navneet Balia, just one more thing. If if emerging economies were a person, a human being, what would you tell emerging economy in just 1 minute? If it were a person,
if it was a person,
yes, emerging economies like Nigeria were a person, what would you tell the economy?
I would say to be excited. This is a technology that, I mean, on the surface, that it's something that you could see that the two major players like the United States and China are the big dominant forces like around the world. But emerging economies like Nigeria, that it's you have this second mover advantage, that you can see what's worked, what's not worked in other places around the world, and you can take advantage of that to help provide just great technology for your country.
Okay, that's awesome. Second mover advantage. Okay, that's great. Awesome. Nice to have you. All right.
Thank you.
If you're with us, we're straight live at Nigeria Innovation Summit 2020. themed Innovating in Critical Times. We've had lots of awesome speakers that have lined up. And as we gradually move towards the end, with still excitement all over the place. I'm excited by the dollar signs I see. I'm excited about the future, and you should be, because it's clearer and clearer that the future is AI, the future is robotics, the future is, I mean, name whatever it is, but we are right in the middle of it. And like the last speaker aptly said, if you're used to first mover advantage, we now know more than ever the advantage is inherent in the second mover advantage. Thank you very much. We have a presentation. Would be okay. Just be sure. Okay. So let's take a presentation, and then we move to what we would do next. We'll take the presentation by Nicholas Wright, Innovation Booster, Orange Africa, on scaling up next frontier for innovation labs in Africa. Scaling up next frontier for innovation labs in Africa. I look forward to this presentation particularly because we know one of the two notable ways tech propels innovation is that it boosts tinkering and experimentation, which in itself accelerates the innovation process. But we want to see what the next level looks like. And Nicholas Bright of Innovation Booster Orange Africa would let us in to all of this. If you're listening, it's your space and it's your time, Nicholas Bright.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this introduction. May I ask to be able to share the PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, you're free to. You can. You're waiting eagerly.
For the moment, I don't have access to the sharing system.
Okay, you're a co-host. You should be able to share.
Okay, it's okay now.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Can you see it?
Yeah, clear.
Fine. All right, thank you. I'm very happy to participate to this Innovation Summit in Nigeria, even if it's online. I hope that next year will be in real life, I would say. But anyway, I'm happy to share a few items about what we call Innovation Lab or Innovation Program in large corporation mainly, and what are the key levers to scale this program. So just to complement the former introduction, I'm Nicolas Bry. We say Nicolas Bry in French, but Bry is very fine. And what I do is I help innovation manager of Orange in Africa. There are 20 of them in the 20 countries where Orange is present. I help them to organize their local innovation process. And I will speak more about this. Previously, I have created and run for 3 years another innovation program, which is called Entrepreneurship, which leverage the ideas from the employees and turn them into business. And based on this experience, I have written a book, which is called The Entrepreneur Factory. So just okay. So I will speak about the different open innovation program at Orange, just to give you a short overview. I will go a little bit more into detail about what is entrepreneurship, innovation from the inside and internal startup. 10 steps to build an innovation program. That's what the Entrepreneur Factory book is about. I will go to what we do with Orange Africa and what we call local or nimble innovation. And I will conclude with a tool that I will share with you. It's a self-assessment tool to evaluate how your innovation organization perform and is resilient. So open innovation at Orange. There are several ways to develop open innovation. That is to say, to cooperate with other companies, with startups, with universities, with freelancers on innovation program on developing new products and services together. One is the learning expedition, going to see how other companies are developing innovation, and the learning expedition in Silicon Valley are quite famous. Another one is the ID box, or sharing IDs with internet users, collecting their insight. You can use also hackathon or solution platform. So in this case, it's more specific. You share a challenge, and the participant in the real world with hackathon or with solution platform online will submit their IDs. And you have also two others organizations, which are the corporate accelerator, which incubate startup in the corporation premises. And you have the capital investment or corporate venture capital, where the corporation invests in startup. What we did at Orange, basically, we've ticked all the different boxes. So we've opened a platform to collect ideas from the internet users. It's called Imagine with Orange. We've exposed digital bricks that we call APIs to external developers, and it's called Orange Developers. We have the entrepreneur studios that I will speak later on, and we have a network of more than 15 corporate accelerators. They are called the Orange Fab, and so they support startup, a selection of startup for 3 months time in Orange premises. And we have Orange Ventures, and Orange Ventures has a specific arm for Africa, with 50 million capital to invest in African startup. So let's dig into what is entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is about welcoming employees to participate to the corporate innovation. And you have to build a value proposition to attract the employees to participate to this program. At Orange, our value proposition was to support any employee with an innovation idea for Orange Business in implementing it with the help of a business unit sponsor. So the program is very much focused not on detecting or creating new ideas. It's about selecting best ideas and supported by employees, and to support the employee in the implementation of the idea, turning the idea into a concrete business with the help of a business unit sponsor that is committed to support the idea. The process is quite simple. You can apply to the challenge online. If you're pre-selected, we help you to find a business unit or an internal department that is interested by the ideas that you've submitted. Then we select a dozen of entrepreneurs, and we coach them during 5 days to dig into their business proposal and prepare a pitch that they will deliver in front of a jury. And then they are selected to be incubated and develop the idea and turn it into a business. They receive the help of an innovation team and the support of a coach that will guide them along the innovation way. But to give you a more precise idea, I would like to come back to the last jury we did. and it will show you the atmosphere related to this process, which is very important. So I will change the share. No, you should be able to see a video from YouTube, and can you hear the sound?
L'Intrapreneur Studio, c'est de permettre à des salariés qui sont dans le groupe, qui ont une idée et qui ont envie de la développer en mode start-up, en restant dans le groupe, donc avec et pour Orange, l'opportunité de faire ce projet. On a déjà eu 2 saisons. Aujourd'hui, on est là pour écouter des projets qui ont été présélectionnés.
Pourquoi un tel engouement pour l'intrapreneuriat chez Orange ? Je pense que c'est un des signes du changement de culture. Donc aujourd'hui, on a vu des gens qui ont fait des projets, qui vont aller sur le marché. On a vu des gens qui ont arrêté des projets, qui sont sortis heureux, grandis. Et donc voilà, ça bouge, il faut tenter, il faut oser. Et je pense que ça commence à rentrer aussi comme étant le plaisir d'entreprendre. Donc c'est une super bonne nouvelle.
Moi, je vais défendre un projet sur le voyage. Le voyage, c'est très bien parce que ça fait rêver tout le monde. Et c'est vrai que là, depuis un mois et demi, on était assez stressés, du fait de dormir la nuit. Et puis là, non, maintenant, ça va. En fait, on a beaucoup travaillé, on est prêt. Et donc, c'est le plaisir plus d'avoir la chance d'être là et de pouvoir défendre nos idées.
I'm really happy because it's just the final part of all this job. So I'm really happy to be there. And let's see what happens later.
Nous représentons la Guinée et nous avons comme projet Orange Fintech. On était un peu stressés avant les pitchs, mais voilà, c'est un gros soulagement maintenant.
Moi, j'espère qu'on sera retenu parce que vu la réaction des membres du jury, j'ai une ferme conviction que notre projet sera retenu.
Je porte le projet Dépôt Marchand que je viens de présenter et je suis vraiment satisfait de ma présentation. J'étais un peu stressé, mais après cette présentation, je suis vraiment soulagé et fier d'avoir participé à cette aventure.
On a vécu ce soir plein d'émotions, ça nous rappelle des super souvenirs avec Alexis. On est très contents pour les futurs sélectionnés de cette saison 3. J'espère qu'ils vont vivre la même aventure que nous.
Depuis, ça se passe très bien. On est allé plusieurs fois sur le terrain. On a pivoté un petit peu, on a adapté et on utilise toujours cette démarche Lean Startup qui est hyper bien adaptée.
I must say that I'm very impressed about the quality of the ideas that I heard. The collection of ideas is very impressive. The candidates were all very well prepared. The speeches were very nicely done.
Et vraiment les gagnants, c'est des projets qui sont très intéressants, qui nous prennent à cœur, qui sont émouvants. Et on aimerait combiner ça aussi l'année prochaine en Belgique et de lancer un entrepreneur studio chez nous.
Ce qui m'a impressionné sur cette session, c'est quand même l'incroyable qualité des pitchs. Ils sont devenus professionnels, comme avec des vraies startups que l'on rencontre face à des venture capitalistes. Et la deuxième chose, c'est le nombre de projets internationaux avec plusieurs dossiers africains et un dossier européen en Espagne cette année.
On est super fiers de nos entrepreneurs ce soir qui ont été excellents.
Bravo à eux.
On leur souhaite bonne chance.
So here we go. I will change again the showing and come back to the presentation.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. In my opinion, it was very important to show you the video because in it you can see the emotional dimension that is linked to this internal project. So it's not only an innovation process, it's also bringing meaning and emotion into innovation. It's very international. The two last winners were from Guinea and from Ivory Coast, and you saw them in the video. It has a lot, definitely strong support from the C-level management. The lady who spoke at the beginning of the video, she mentioned the pleasure to undertake, the pleasure of being an entrepreneur. And she was the head of the innovation division at Orange and a member of the executive committee. Marie-Noël Gégaud-Lavessière. So just to conclude on this entrepreneurship part, The Entrepreneur Factory, the book I have written, it summarizes the experience of 40 different companies that have committed into entrepreneurship, and it suggests a 10-step approach to build your program. I will not go into details today because it would be a little bit time consuming. But feel free to ask me any question about the book. I've shared the link to the book on Amazon. There are 3 different steps that are particularly delicate in building such a program that involves the employees into innovation. One is the sponsorship of the program, so the executive have to support the program. The second is how to involve the business unit that will hand over on the idea and really help to transform an idea into a business. And the last one is about the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are not machine; they are human being, and maybe don't have a significant innovation experience because they can come from anywhere in the company. So the third element is the tight coaching of the entrepreneur to help them transform the idea into business. Okay. But something to remember about the value creation for the company, it's about business, it's about getting close to the customers. And for the employees, it's about transformation, because this way, employees can be the change they want to see in their company. And I think it's a very meaningful and transformative process. Now I will come to the second part of this presentation about my current job now. It's developing another innovation program that we call local innovation. What is local innovation is developing innovation, sticking to local specificities and being more agile to design this innovation. There are different pillars for this program. One is open innovation, innovation with the ecosystem. So working with local companies, citizen startups, universities, state organizations. Second pillar is involving Orange employees and business unit locally in the innovation process. And third is leveraging lean innovation methodologies. We use a mix of design thinking, lean startup, and agile. Agile is not a methodology, it's a manifesto, but we use a mix of these different cultural approach. And we are looking at what we call grassroots, bottom-up innovation, starting from the customer pain point to develop innovation, compared to more global innovation that is developed in France. So it involves we are present exactly in 18 countries in Africa. So it involves the 18 countries of Orange in Africa, and each of them has a local innovation manager in charge of running the process. What we're looking at, another way to say it, is transformative innovation. One good example is about mobile money, which tackles, that you all know, and tackles the problem of under bancarization of in Africa. And so with the mobile, we can solve the problem of money transfer and money payment without a bank account, which is really impressive. Another example of this transformative innovation is that to fill up the digital divide, it's of course about connecting everyone with 3G, with 4G, but it's also about giving the right access to this connectivity with an affordable smartphone. And Orange has just partnered with Google to announce a very cheap smartphone in Africa for $30. So what is this innovation process? It's an innovation process where you have to keep in mind two main stages. The first stage is about collecting ideas and exploring them. To challenge the idea, to get more in depth into the ideas, we use two tools. One tool is the business model canvas. So 9 squares to understand and assess the potential of your ideas. And the other one is a visualization mockup, because it's very important to leave the PowerPoint slide and to have some kind of customer journey, some kind of mockup that materialize the idea. Then the second stage is to go for experimentation. When we speak of experiment, we don't mean building a running prototype. We just mean taking your mockup with you and going to meet with the target customers, B2B or B2C, so mass market or enterprise customers, sharing with him the mockup and collecting the feedback, collecting the insight, and verifying if your solution is solving a problem for these customers. That's the process, the two-stage process, exploration, experiment that we develop, and our local innovation manager are focused on this. And then if the experiments are positive, the selection committee decide the implementation of the idea and hands over the idea development to the business unit or the internal department that will be impacted or that will leverage this idea. And that's what we call exploitation. So our innovation, local innovation process is really about this burgeoning of new ideas and collecting the feedback from users rather than implementing the ideas that is at the charge of the business unit. Why? Because this way, local innovation manager can test around 5 ideas per semester, 10 ideas per year, and there are 20 countries involved. That means testing 200 innovative solutions per year. And that's really our target, that's really our challenge to achieve this in the coming years. A few examples that come out of this local innovation organization. One is from Ivory Coast. They have developed a partnership with a startup, Tuseka, and built together a GeoShop service that helps you to identify where are the nearest Orange Money shop in your surroundings. So you're in the city, you want to buy something, but you want to pay with Orange Money. With GeoShop, you know where is the nearest shop where you can go. Senu Resto is a project from Burkina Faso, and it's very concrete. It's about letting students buy their meal tickets with mobile money and have them on their mobile, so they don't need any paper ticket anymore. And of course, in this time of sanitary crisis, it's quite important to be able to have these tickets being virtual and not on paper anymore. Last example is from Orange Tunisia, and it's about developing the use of My Orange, which is a self-care application for Orange users. And Orange Tunisia has set up a Wheel of Fortune that you can try every week. And if you win, you can get some top-up on your mobile account, or you can win a smartphone or accessories. And all this take place in the My Orange application. So this is to develop the use of My Orange. I've built an innovation community linked to this local innovation process. The different tools that we use, the first one is an innovation radio. What is the Orange Africa Innovation Radio? It's very simple. Every 2 weeks, we have a 1 hour and a half radio show where we invite people from outside of Orange, mainly, and they share their experience in developing innovation. So we have people from a large company, like Total or a car maker company. We had people from Make Sense from Senegal. We had a design agency more recently from Ivory Coast, and so on and so on. And so it's about acculturation. What we do also is during this radio innovation process, radio innovation show, the different Orange countries present the local innovation that they have put in place. And so they share the experience with the other countries, so that one success in one country can become a success in the other 17 countries. We use WhatsApp to share information about the digital market, telecom market in Africa. And we have a lot of news coming from Nigeria, which is definitely ahead in innovation. We use the enterprise social network. We have defined the innovation process and an innovation kit. So I've just shown you one slide, the innovation process, but the kit is around 30 slides. We have an ID challenge where people can, the innovation manager can apply with their local innovation project. And we work, what I mentioned, on replicating, propagating this local innovation from one country to another. Last part of my presentation will be about, I've presented 2 innovation program examples, but there are many ways you can boost innovation in your company. And last part of my presentation will go through a tool which is called Your Innovation in Review. And it's a short assessment to know how your organization for innovation fares across 10 key areas. Just to give you a very short example of what it looks like. So here you are on my blog, which is called Rapid Innovation in Digital Time. You have an article, Is Your Innovation Organization Resilient? And if I want to start the tool, voilà, to start here. Very simple. Okay, your innovation in review. It's anonymous, so no one will know what is your company or whatsoever. You don't have anything to put. And here you have 10 teams where you have different questions for each area. So the first one, and I will just go through the first one, is why do you want to start an innovation program? What is your purpose? And how is it aligned with the strategy of your company? So there are different questions. You put your level of expertise regarding the question. Here you are at a low level, and here you are at strong level, for example. And you can move forward to the second area, and this goes again and again until you reach the end of the 10 areas. And I will show you then what you come to. Yes, click. Then at the end of this short questionnaire, you have your result. So on the 10 key areas, it shows you where you rank. And you can see immediately that here, and here, the purpose, in this example, the business unit commitment and the value creation, these are the lowest ranking, and these are the key areas where you can improve. And the tool, according to each key area, suggests you a few elements to put in place and to improve your innovation organization. So you can find all the detail about this tool again on my blog, just on the link that I've just showed with you. And to conclude, I would like to thank you for your attention, of course. You can find more on rapidinnovation.fr. You can find an article about this radio innovation and the local innovation community. And you can, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can continue this conversation on a one-to-one basis if you have any specific question that you would like to raise. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's awesome. Great presentation. When we mentioned your name as Nicolas Bry, you said it was fine, but that in French to be Brie. So I'd say Nicolas Brie. I've learned something.
That's very nice. I'm used to listen to Brie because you know Brie in France.
Okay.
It's also the name of a cheese. So English-speaking people, they get confused. So they say, "Are you Nicolas Cheese or who are you then?"
Okay, that's exciting. Thank you so much. Nicolas, that was a nice one. You were asked to speak on scaling up the next frontier for innovation labs in Africa, and you've indeed scaled up our thoughts. I kept taking down notes. I love your 10-step approach. I love your applied innovation process. I like the fact that he taught us how to co-build value proposition with employees, with especially noting the effect of intrapreneurship on organization. So it's an awesome one. Thank you so much. And I'm sure all the friends out there in the tech space took notes the way I took notes. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you physically wherever we're doing the next summit. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
And if you come to Paris, give me a head up, of course.
Oh, sure. Most definitely. All right, thank you so much. It's been awesome here at Nigeria Innovation Summit, where the theme's been innovating in critical times. We've had just some of the best speakers in the world, I tell you, and their presentations have spoken for them. But we'll continue as we begin to wrap up this year's summit. We will look at certain people that are worthy of mention. To help me do that, Grace, come right in. Start off. Run.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. It's nice to be here again. So coming right up is our recognition of some very, very innovative startups this year. We've played them earlier. If you saw the video of innovative startups, could you just raise your hand if you saw the video? Okay, so I guess we didn't see it. All right, so we're gonna go right straight into them. We have startups from about, okay, Abayomi, you saw the video, that's awesome. So we have startups from about 5 categories, and they've been recognized because of the impressive works they've been doing. So we thought it best to give them a recognition for this year's summit. I'm going to start with 54 Gene. It's an health tech startup, and they've been doing amazing work in the health tech space. Then we also have LifeBank. LifeBank has done amazing works in the health tech space, both in Nigeria and Kenya. LifeBank actually helps to donate blood, oxygenated blood to recipients needing it in cases of emergency. And they've been doing really, really amazing works. Then we're going to run through those in fintech and financial inclusion. We have Flutterwave, Paystack, Bitcoins, Naira FX, and Piggybank, all doing amazing in the fintech industry. In logistics, we are recognizing Cobalt 360 for the amazing works the founders have been doing. In agriculture, we want to recognize Crowdy, which has enabled crowdfunding for agricultural projects. And when it comes to the internet inclusion, we are recognizing TZT, providing internet access to Nigerian SMEs, individuals, and corporate organizations. Then we also have other amazing mentions. We have the Government and Economic Enterprise Program. It's a social inclusion program that enables financial access to those at the grassroots. We have event that it enables training to bridge the gap of unemployment, and we have Econ Split. So thank you. We are going to be sending an e-recognition to these startups, and perhaps we should just give them a round of applause. I don't know if they can hear us right now. Then we want to do a special shout out to our sponsors for this year's summit. Of course, at the start we have the NCC and Zoho. They've been with us from the very beginning. They've been very supportive and amazing. We have Innovation of Africa, which is actually the major host of this program. Yes, and congratulations on the startups. Thank you very much, Olawale Daniel. Thank you. I know we have amazing organizations that have supported us so far. We have Tech Economy, we have the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Inclusion, we have the African Innovation Academy, we have Tech Trends NG, we have SME Picks, we have ISPIN. Thank you so much, Bruno and Ian. Thank you so much. We have Dynamic Creations, and then we have Rehonaut Solutions. Thank you. And to everyone that have participated in this summit from the very, very beginning, we say thank you. We hope you've learned a lot from attending and from the awesome lineup of speakers that have been engaging us for the past 3 days. If you have questions, again, you can always send it to us. You can send it to us, info@innovationsummit.ng. We are on Twitter. If you are tweeting, please use the hashtag NIS2020. You can mention us, NG Innovations, on Twitter. We look forward to hearing from you. We want to read about your reviews of the program, the best sessions that you actually gained a lot from, your thoughts and views about innovation being the next frontier of so many processes and industries, especially in emerging economies such as countries in West Africa. Thank you again for this year's summit. Once again, we'll roll out the video for the innovative startups that we've mentioned. We're doing that right now. Just stay tuned.
Nigeria. Startups and small businesses are the engine that would drive such economic development in our country and in Africa at large. We bring you 10 innovative startup companies founded by young Nigerians that are making big impacts in different sectors of the economy. They are attracting foreign investments into the country, solving big problems, creating jobs, and driving innovation in Nigeria. They are number 1, 54 Gene. 54 Gene was launched in January 2019 by Dr. Abasi Eniobong to address the significant gap in the global genomics market. The company is unlocking the African genome, thereby building African genetic data sets to make landmark discoveries and to support therapeutic development. Located in Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, and in the US, 54 Gene aims to improve the development, availability, and efficacy of medical products that will prove beneficial to Africans and the wider global population. As part of its next stage of growth, the company will further explore partnerships and opportunities for co-development of drug targets and therapeutics, and expects to partner with pharmaceutical, medical device, and diagnostics companies for clinical programs in Africa. 54 Gene has attracted $19.5 million in foreign investments. Number 2, Farm Crowdy. Farm Crowdy is Nigeria's first digital agriculture platform and a globally recognized agri-tech company that connects small-scale farmers across Nigeria with smart farming techniques, quality farm inputs, and access to broader markets to earn a decent profit margin. Farm Crowdy is admired for its impact on collaborative food production and boosting food security across the continent. The impact of its activities is great, empowering smallholder farmers as a way of contributing to increasing domestic food production and security. So far, over 12,000 rural farmers have been able to keep a job, expand farm operations 5 times more, and increase their income by 80% since Farm Crowdy launched in November 2016. Farm Crowdy was founded by Onyeka Akuma, Ifeanyi Anazodo, Akindele Phillips, Jimo Mayegun, and Tokwe Omotani. The company has so far attracted $2.4 million in funding. Number 3, Flutterwave. Flutterwave was founded in 2016 by Iyolua and Olubenga Agbola to provide technology, infrastructure, and offer services to enable merchants, payment service providers, banks, and businesses build secure and seamless payment solutions. The company has achieved a great deal so far and has raised $64.5 million in funding, announced partnership with Worldplay FIS, and launched an e-commerce platform for SMEs. Flutterwave is making strides, even technologically, in building future-proof and resilient products in a dynamic environment. Number 4, Kobo 360. Kobo 360 is a digital technology platform disrupting Africa third-party logistics. The company operates a tech-enabled digital logistics platform that aggregates end-to-end haulage operations to help cargo owners, truck owners, and drivers achieve effective supply chain framework. Launched in 2017 by Obi Ozo and Ife Oyedele II. Kobo 360 uses big data and technology to reduce logistics friction across the sectors like agriculture and manufacturing. Kobo 360 has moved close to 1,000 kg of goods, aggregated a fleet of over 10,000 drivers and trucks for over 80 large enterprises. Olam, African Industries, Flour Mills of Nigeria, and Lafarge. With operations in West and East Africa, Kobo 360 is determined to build a global logistics operating system that will empower trade and commerce for Africa and emerging markets. They have attracted $37.3 million in funding. Number 5, Live Bank. It is always a sad and an unfortunate thing when someone has to die in any Nigerian hospital because the hospital does not have enough blood or oxygen for the patient, or the patient cannot afford them. This is the critical problem Live Bank is addressing. The company, with operations in Nigeria and Kenya, uses technology as a multimodal distribution platform to deliver blood and oxygen to hospitals, thereby making them available when and where they are needed. The company continues to innovate in the way that they deliver their core services and now uses drones for delivery. Temi Giwa Tubosun founded the company in 2015. She was the winner of African Netpreneur Prize of $250,000. They have also received a total of $225,000 in funding. Number 6, Paystack. Paystack is a financial technology company founded in 2015 by Shola Akinlade and Ezra Olubi. The startup company provides a platform that helps businesses in Africa accept payments on their websites or apps from anyone, anywhere around the world through credit card, money transfer, and also mobile money. Paystack, through its innovativeness, is around processing about 15% of all online payments in Nigeria. Several businesses of all sizes, including telcos, airlines, government agencies, and small businesses. Paystack has attracted $11.7 million in funding. Number 7, Tizeti. Tizeti provides broadband internet services to densely populated urban centers in Africa. Tizeti enables millions of Africans to access the internet through its solar-powered towers in Nigeria and provides residents friendly, unlimited high-speed broadband internet. covering Lagos, Ogun, and River States in Nigeria. Tizeti has installed over 25,000 public Wi-Fi hotspots within Nigeria with 1,500,000 users and partnered with Facebook to offer express Wi-Fi, rolling out thousands of new internet hotspots across Nigerian cities. The company has since expanded its services to Ghana with new brand GhanaWiFi.com and its voice service WiFiCall.ng. Kendall Ananyi and Ifeanyi Okonkwo founded the company in 2010. They have attracted 5.1 million in funding. Number 8, PiggyVest. PiggyVest, originally known as Piggyback.ng, was launched in 2016 as a savings product. Over the years, they have introduced innovative products from savings tools like SafeLock, Target and Group Savings, and PiggyFlex to insurance products like EvonFlex, as well as Trackit, which helps individuals and businesses in becoming more effective at financial management. In May 2018, PiggyVest acquired Gold Microfinance Bank. The founders are Joshua Chibweze, Ayo Akinola, Nonso Eagle, Oduayo Eweni, and Sonto Ifezwe. They have attracted 1.2 million in funding. Number 9, Bitcoins. As digital and cryptocurrencies adoption across the globe increases, Nigeria is not left behind in exploring the opportunities in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Nigeria is, in fact, one of the leading countries in cryptocurrency adoption in Africa. Bitcoins is a tech startup founded in 2017 as a peer-to-peer platform that enables Nigerians to easily buy, sell, or exchange cryptocurrency with around 7 million worth of digital cash traded each month on its platform. The company has also launched innovative products called SendCash that enables Nigerians receive money into their bank accounts in Nigeria from any country using Bitcoin. Bitcoins was founded by Timi Ajiboye, Ire Aderinokon, and Tomiwa Lashebikon. They have received 1.2 million in funding. Number 10, NairaX. NairaX is one of the most popular Bitcoin exchange platforms in Nigeria. It allows users to buy and sell Bitcoin and perfect money with Nigerian Naira. The platform provides a fast, simple, and easy Bitcoin exchange service that is accessible to Nigerians. The company, which began operations in 2015, was founded by David Ajala and aims to utilize the power of Bitcoin to provide a more stable and healthy monetary system, allowing Nigerians to access the wealth and power of Bitcoin. NairaX currently processes over 1 billion Naira worth of Bitcoin transactions each month, and the platform has accumulated over 130 users with over 900 transactions. It has become one of the most trusted exchanges to buy and sell Bitcoin in Nigeria, making the purchase of Bitcoin more convenient, and being transparent regarding pricing and fees are the top priorities for NairaX. This has been put together by Nigerian Innovation Summit 2020 team, proudly sponsored by NCC and Zoho.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks to the technical team for that. Indeed, it's been an amazing ride. And these startups have been recognized because of the impact they've been making across the country and by extension, the continent. It's amazing that despite the odds and the challenges, they've been able to push through and develop innovative solutions to the most pressing challenges here on the continent. So special recognition to them once again. And would also like to thank our sponsors, NCC and Zoho, these amazing organizations. We would be sharing the contact of everyone who registered and everyone who attended the event with our partners. And Zoho has a gift for everyone, so we'll send that to you via email. Thank you so much. Thanks again to all the speakers. It's been a very, very fantastic section. And would like to take a message from NCC and Zoho once again before we wrap up NIS 2020 Virtual Summit. So stay with us.
Following global trends in telecommunications development of 5G, the Nigerian Communications Commission in November 2019 embarked on a proof of concept with MTN in 6 locations. Relevant stakeholders, including members of security agencies, were involved in the trial. The commission considered that the development of the 5th generation technology will be beneficial for socio-economic development of Nigeria and will consequently promote the national digital economy for a digital Nigeria that will improve the way Nigerians live and work. In view of the successful completion of the trial and a directive from the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, the Commission commenced the development of a policy for the deployment of 5G in Nigeria. The Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, Office of the National Security Advisor, National Assembly, Ministry of Health, National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency, Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria are among the stakeholders that will make input into this policy. Details on NCC's website. 5G will not be deployed in Nigeria until the policy is concluded and approved. Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde, Director, Public Affairs, announcer.
That was amazing. Thanks to NCC and Zoe for that information. Thank you, everyone, once again. This is the grand finale of Nigeria Innovation Summit 2020 Virtual Edition. And one thing you should take away from this summit is that innovation actually begins with you. You don't have to wait for the government. You don't have to wait for any startup. Just take responsibility and start with yourself. Thank you once again. And until next year, keep being innovative. Thank you.
For that debate, whatever it is, it didn't go in, is it debate or something was going on?